Back in 2007, Michael Bay brought us a movie called Transformers that would change the way we saw action movies forever. And then in 2009, we got a sequel to that, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. And now, here we are, in 2011, we have the third movie in the trilogy, Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Now, this third installment of the franchise is, of course, directed by Michael Bay, who did their previous two films, as well as classic films like Bad Boys 1 and 2, Armageddon, and The Rock. Now, this movie stars Shia LaBeouf, Rosie-Huntington Whiteley, with Frances McDormid, Josh Duhamel, Tyrese Gibson, John Malkovich, John Tuturro, and Patrick Dempsey. Now, when I first heard they were making a Transformers 3, I had just seen the second one, so I wasn't completely sold on the idea of a third movie, but going into seeing this one, my only hopes were that it would make up for the second movie, much like when I went into Saw 6, I was hoping it would make up for the fifth movie, and, well, you know, every franchise is a bad movie that we wish to be made up for. So, I saw it, and I've got to say, wow. I mean, when I was told that there was like a whole solid hour of action, I was in disbelief. I couldn't imagine how anybody, let alone Michael Bay, of all people, could pull that off, and he did it fantastically. Special effects and action in this movie were just amazing. As far as the acting goes, for the most part, the acting was pretty good. Shia LaBeouf really stepped up his game from the first movie, though I did have a complaint about Rosie-Huntington Whiteley, Megan Fox's replacement. Now, as I'm watching the movie, as pretty as she is, and as well as she did act, every time she was on camera or on screen, she was just too pretty for that type of movie. I mean, every time they showed her get out of a car or walk into a room or wear something, it was always pretty much scantily clad, and it was like, okay, if we're going to make any figure in this movie the sex appeal, it's going to be her. It was almost as if she was too pretty. Now, I liked Megan Fox's role because she was tomboyish, and she fit with Shia LaBeouf, where, unless Shia LaBeouf was played by Josh Duhamel, him and Rosie just didn't fit that well together. Now, as far as the voice acting on the Autobots and Decepticons, they were awesome as always, and it was pretty neat to see, to hear who voiced Sentinel Prime, the great Leonard Nimoy, which was pretty cool. The supporting cast was also pretty good. John Tuturro, you know, was his standard, you know, comedic role as he was in the first movie. Frances McDormid's character kind of came off a bit annoying, kind of like Dolores Umbridge in the Harry Potter films. But Josh Duhamel did a pretty good job for what he was given. It seemed like he was just there all on the movie and didn't really have much impact for me. I mean, just like the first one. Patrick Dempsey did a pretty good job. John Malkovich is in the movie, and his little subplot's kind of pointless, but hey, you know, I guess Michael Bay, when he came to making this movie and doing all the casting, must have reached into a hat and drew a bunch of names out, because you had guys from John Malkovich to Ken Jeong in the movie. I mean, I'm really surprised that Steve Buscemi wasn't in the movie. I kind of had a little problem with this movie is, when the first movie came out, it had what seemed like more comedy than it did action. And it seemed like, of all the movies, that one was geared more towards younger audiences than adults. But that's really not the case with the second movie or this movie, because a lot of the elements in this movie are really dark. I mean, you have Transformers that are just killed and murdered, especially humans that are just killed by Decepticons. Now, granted, they are shot with these, you know, laser cannons, so the humans just disintegrate, but still, it's pretty graphic. Also, here's something to think about. While you're watching this movie, I couldn't help but notice, with all the killing going on, if this was, you know, real people and not machines, the movie would be rated R, because instead of blood, they of course used transmission fluid. So, if you don't mind that, then fine. It was good. It was almost like The Dark Knight, because you had moments in the movie where, yeah, fans of Batman could go see it, but it also had adult themes, you know, adult emotional parts that kids just wouldn't understand or wouldn't grasp. And of course, this movie has Michael Bay's stamp all over it, because you have the classic elements of his movies. You have, you know, slow motion when it comes to, you know, passionate kissing and whatnot scenes. You also have, you know, loud, quick, fast action, and you also have his numerous shots of people either looking into the horizon with the sun glaring in the camera, or somebody looking away from the horizon, sun still glaring in the camera. So, if I had to rate this movie from a 1 to a 5, I'd give it a 4. It really was a summer blockbuster, and whether you're a fan of the Transformers movies or action movies in general, I really recommend it. So, till next time, guys. One more thing I wanted to bring up real quick. It's about the ending of the movie. So, if you guys haven't seen the movie yet, especially the end, don't watch this part of the video. The ending, as far as the final battle between Optimus Prime, Sentinel Prime, and Megatron goes, to me, I thought Optimus may have gone a little too far with his, what looked like, slaying of Sentinel Prime and Megatron. I mean, do you guys feel that way? My only argument for that brutality, I guess you could call it, was that, I guess it's kind of like with Batman and the Joker. How, I guess Optimus was just so betrayed and so, you know, sad that his friends and colleagues were killed, and he was just so tired of all this tyranny and all this destruction going on this peaceful planet that he probably just had enough. He probably was just tired of putting up with Megatron time after time and just probably wanted to put an end to it, because if you think about it, where else was Optimus going to put Megatron? What was he going to do with him? He already tried to drop him. You know, they tried to drop him in the lowest part of the earth in the first one. That didn't help. So I thought that was a little much, especially with Sentinel Prime killing Ironhide the way he did. But I guess they wanted to get the point across that, hey, you know, much like other movies where you have humans as the main villains, they had to show that he was evil and that he was a mean guy, and I guess they wanted audiences to root against him. So let me know what you guys think. Did you guys think it was too much, or maybe not enough? Let me know. See ya.